This is a Podco original.
We always do this, where it's like, it's a 22-minute children's show, and we're like, let's talk about the meaning of everything.
Well, I mean,
when was your first date? Like, we went to the sock hop. I don't know. How old are you?
I snuck out one time. My brother Peter was in school with J.J. Abrams.
So that's why we think of Harper as this cute little town on top with just like fire and flames and shit underneath.
Oh, look, everybody, it's Jen Stone.
I'm just laughing at killing the AC. Yes, it is. And it's David DeLuise. Look at us. Look at us.
And
We're
it's
here.
Wizards of Waverly Pod.
We're here for another week.
Yeah,
Okay. Season 2, episode 17 is Alex Does Good, which first aired April 5th, 2009, written by Vince Chung and Ben Montano, who we've had on the pod.
And
directed by Guy Distad.
Yes.
Who's now on the sequel.
Oh, Guy directed this
Yeah,
one.
because he went from first AD to being the director.
Yes, and Guy was always so professional. Whenever he directed, he was very
Guy
on it.
had an amazing ability of leadership in the sense that he kept it calm, he kept it fun, he kept a really great tone, but kept it professional
Right.
and a good workflow and good pace. So he never fell behind, because some people would come in, they'd have too much fun, and then we'd fall behind, and it become chaos.
Yeah.
But no, he always was very good about keeping the flow, and I feel like that has to come. We'll ask him when he comes, but I feel like that has to come. You good?
Yeah, and then I'm just trying to remember, and Jody would come in and fill in for him? No. The third would come in?
I think the third would come in.
Yeah. Jody was doing, she was doing the camera blocking.
Yeah.
Usually when you do a sitcom, the director is telling all the camera.
Well, I think it was the second AD would come in.
Right,
When
the
he
second
was
would come in
directing
to be
for
the
the
first.
Yeah.
But the when you're doing a sitcom,
Mm-hmm.
there's someone on staff that if the director's fucking up, that they are doing all the camera blocking as well. So you have two. Typically, the director would do it. It's a backup.
Yeah,
exactly.
your first AD,
That's
your
what-
first assistant director is
Yeah.
cleaning up what the director is missing.
Right.
Or if you have a really good team, so when Guy and Victor would work together, which they often did, they just elevated even more so, which was why they were such a good team.
Agreed.
So we start out with Alex in the Waverly
The back
place.
street.
Yeah, the back street behind
And
the
it's
sub shop.
all the way up in the
Yes.
back. So it was tricky because there wasn't enough room to have all the cameras there.
Yeah, the walk and talk. So I
You
think
know?
whenever we shot back there, I think we only had two. Because you could only fit, because that street was so narrow, you could only fit the two. Versus the sub shop or the lair, it was so wide that you could fit all four.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of you'll notice in those scenes, it's a very frontal kind of thing, or they might have a two shot, or they might have close up, that kind of thing.
This episode of Wizards of Waverly Pod is brought to you by HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and savory recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. Since Yulia and I have started using HelloFresh, we've saved so much time by skipping meal prepping and going to the grocery store. We love the creamy, dreamy mushroom cavatappi. It's our new favorite. HelloFresh has us eating healthy and trying new things. HelloFresh's new Build-A-Plate meals are designed to let every member of the household create their own plate. No more making multiple dinners to satisfy everyone, just one meal with so many ways to enjoy. With a changing menu of 50 recipes to choose from each week, HelloFresh makes it easy to always find something the whole family will love. And for a limited time, kids eat free. Go to HelloFresh.com/WizardsKids to unlock this exclusive offer. One free kids meal per box for 2 months while subscription is active. That's free kids meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/WizardsKids. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. And we have a very special guest.
We do.
Joanne Worley from Laugh-In and many other things.
So many 60s. I'll just read off some of her highlights.
Oh, yeah.
Because Alex is basically in the Waverly Place with this eccentric older friend that she has that's a total hippie, which is perfect because Joanne Worley was peak comedy in the 60s and 70s and then thereafter.
Yeah.
messing with the produce guy. So
Who was a dick?
He was a total dick.
Right.
Well, come on, it's a New York produce guy.
Yeah,
like
okay.
it tracks. So she was famously in Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, which also featured Lily Tomlin and Goldie Hawn.
And Ruth Buzzy.
And Ruth Buzzy. She's also done a ton of voiceovers, including the wardrobe in Beauty and the Beast, which I didn't know. I would have freaked out. Beauty and the Beast was my jam, still is.
Right.
Miss Maples in the Goofy movie, and Bouffant Beagle in DuckTales. So she's done some. She's been a pinnacle part in a lot of people's childhood.
100%.
You also might remember her as Nana Banana in Jessie. So there, yeah.
Oh, she did an episode of Jessie?
Yeah, which shot in our old stage.
Oh, right.
Well, no, actually, not our old stage. When they were taking down, because I remember when they were taking down the sets for Wizards, it was so sad, but they were taking them down because they were building Jessie up.
Right.
And that sounds.
But it did shoot there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they mess with the produce guy, and basically like finagle him with some stuff.
Right. And Wesley, who was our dialogue coach.
Oh, that's right, Wesley
is in it, and she has a little part, like she, kind of is disgruntled customer with the guy and then walks away.
Yeah, and I don't think she says anything. She just like makes an expression. Wesley was the best. She was like our little hippie mom on set.
Yeah, and it was such a nice thing too, because sometimes when the Susie, our script supervisor, was working, and I wanted to run lines or go over stuff, Wesley would do that with me, which was so great.
Well, I mean, that's what she was there for. She was there to help us, whether we either needed to run lines or go over a character thing, or like we just were confused on how to play something. She was there to kind of spitball with and work with. So then we go from Waverly Place to Max is asking for advice. We're in Tribeca prep. And Max just doesn't know how to talk to girls, which I really related to hardcore. Not that I don't know how to talk to girls, but just like talking to the opposite sex, like flirting. Anytime I'm able to flirt, it's usually because I am friends with the person first. And like all my relationships have happened by accident. Like I've never tried to like go out and.
You haven't gone up to someone and been like, hey, how are you?
I have, but like it usually blows up in my face. It doesn't work very well. But also it's also in a lack of patience. And the fact that like I don't want to like dick around the issue, no pun intended, for weeks or months or whatever. I just want to, if I'm into somebody, I want to know if we're going to work out or not. I have no patience for like the build up. Which
yesterday I was with, because Yulia did an episode and we talked about this kind of flirty thing.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the triangle.
Yeah.
Where you,
like
the
triangle.
But that where you look in someone's eyes.
But that's
and then
not me.
You look at their mouth.
So you look eye, mouth.
Eye, mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, eye, mouth.
Yeah.
That's the
triangle. Because you're sending the subliminal messaging that you're thinking about kissing them or whatever.
Right. And then when you did that to Yulia, she was like, Jen, do you want to kiss me? What's happening? But it's funny because then I said, in Los Angeles, if a woman looks at you and says hello, instantly a man is like, oh, she wants to talk to me. Like, hey, yeah, you know what I mean? You get into.
Hey, how are you?
Well, but in the rest of the world, people say hello. Like women say hello, hello. But in LA, women don't say hello.
It's not just women. Nobody says hello to anybody.
True, but what I'm getting at is, I think there's a thing where, look. Do you say hello if some random person says hello to you? Do you say hello? Yeah, back?
It depends.
Yeah.
I mean, did they just come out of like a dumpster
if
or
a man
something?
says hello to you, right?
It depends on what he looks like. I'll be honest.
Okay.
Like, I know that's like not, I know the right answer is that I should say yes, no matter what. But like it's the same thing as like a guy, like a girl will say a guy is creepy if he says hello, but if he's cute and she's into him, she likes it. So. Right. It just depends.
Look,
it also depends on what mood I'm in that day.
Yeah, no, I get it.
If I don't feel like talking to people,
there's definitely something happening in Los Angeles that I've noticed that typically women will not look at you and not acknowledge you because most men here, I guess, will, oh, she looked at me, I'll talk to her. Hey, I'm trying to pick you up now,
Yeah, there's I don't know if predatory is the right word, but there's a little bit. It's.
I'm just talking about hello, rather than
But I'm saying predatory in the sense of like, oh, we got to make it a thing. If you just say hi, like if you're just being nice,
I'm curious. I'm curious other people's takes, but I mean,
no, me too. But because sometimes like there are times where like it bites you in the ass for being nice because people make it more than it is. They like say, oh, she's interested. It's like, no, I'm just being polite.
Right.
So yeah, I guess I can see both sides of it.
I don't know. It's very interesting. Now, back to the episode where Max is saying he doesn't know how to talk to anybody, and
Oh, and this is like the nags, like from your movie.
Yeah. But it's so much. It's interesting because he's being really mean, and he's not supposed to be aware of that, which not being able to talk to women and being mean to someone. Those are different things to me, but they kind of mix them together here.
But it's like we've talked about before, because it was Bachelor Man, right? The movie that you did?
Bachelor Man, directed by John Pudge. Missy Pyle was the actress that I worked with.
I didn't need the IMDb breakdown. But no, you talk about how like guys, there's a whole thing of flirting where it's like the nags. Like if you make her feel bad about herself, then she'll want to prove herself to you, which I mean, there is some merit to that. I mean, you look at that people that date emotionally unavailable people because of their own damage and wanting to get the validation that they are lovable because they think it has to be external, which in the truth is you have to just love yourself for who you are, right? Like you can't get that from anyone else.
And also like the bad boys get the girls, kind of thing.
But it's that. They're emotionally unavailable. And so they feel like you have to earn their love. It like breeds on anxious attachment.
And so what isn't it such a weird thing? So if you're nice and you're a good boy, you know what I mean? Not a bad boy.
You're on the good list?
Well, but then supposedly women are just not attracted to you then, I guess.
I think... Yeah, there is that to a certain extent. I think there's an air of mystery, and I do think I think the whole thing about a chase goes both ways. I think guys love a chase, and I think girls I think there's some weird subconscious thing, and I don't fucking know. I mean, I'm by no means a relationship expert. This is just me pontificating, but I think to a certain extent there's it makes something seem more worth having if it's hard to obtain. Mm-hmm. So I think for both people, if there's a little bit of a chase, if there's a little bit of unavailability, I think if you feel like you're winning something, granted, there's so many other things that go into that. Like I said, about like validating that you're lovable and all these kind of things. I love that Max's first crush should ask a girl out has turned into the meaning of relationships and love. We always do this, right? It's like it's a 22-minute children's show, and we're like, let's talk about the meaning of everything.
Well, I mean, it sparked that, but she comes over, this girl, and then Max makes fun of her good friend. Yeah, and she's like, "Hey, that's my good friend." I mean, every single thing that he does is awful. But she's like into it. She's I think she says, I'll give you a second chance. She says, ask me out. And he's like, no, I don't think it's going to work. This episode of Wizards of Waverly Pod is brought to you by HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and savory recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. Since Yuli and I have started using HelloFresh, we've saved so much time by skipping meal prepping and going to the grocery store. We love the creamy, dreamy mushroom cavatappi. It's our new favorite. HelloFresh has us eating healthy and trying new things. HelloFresh's new Build-A-Plate meals are designed to let every member of the household create their own plate. No more making multiple dinners to satisfy everyone, just one meal with so many ways to enjoy. With a changing menu of 50 recipes to choose from each week, HelloFresh makes it easy to always find something the whole family will love. And for a limited time, kids eat free. Go to HelloFresh.com/WizardsKids to unlock this exclusive offer. One free kids meal per box for 2 months while subscription is active. That's free kids meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/WizardsKids. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
But really, he wants to ask her out.
But it was funny. I mean, there was a good comedy there.
Yeah.
And then she even...
It's like reverse psychology.
Right. And then she even says to him, he says, okay, will you go out with me? And she's like, no. Comedy. But they do have a date that happens, which is good. And he's like, I mean, he's 100 years old with the first date here, with the asking out. I mean, how old is this character
remember,
here?
like, he just had the lava birthday, and he was either 13, 14.
Right, okay.
But that's not cruel. When was your first date? How old were you in your first date?
I was in, my first girlfriend was Danielle in like, I don't know.
Oh, with the car?
5th or 6th grade. The car.
The car.
Car.
Didn't she cheat on you with your friend in the car?
Oh, that was Jennifer.
Oh, that whore, Jennifer.
She slept with my best friend. Yeah.
Okay, we're not talking about her. We're talking about Danielle.
No,
How
but
old
that
were
was
you?
like girlfriend. Like,
yeah, but when was your first like date? Like, oh, we went to the sock hop. I don't know. How old are you?
Yeah, like 12 or something.
Yeah,
I guess.
so he's right on track.
All right.
13, 14, right?
Yeah. Listen, it's been a
I don't
minute.
know.
So.
I was homeschooled and working. I don't remember either. Okay, so he redeems himself, thank God, by
Right.
being somewhat open and honest, which I think is all anybody wants, even though I know it's scary because you're vulnerable, but being like, look, I just want to ask you out on a date. There we go. So he...
They've set it up now, and now Harper is in Tribeca Prep and answering her flip phone.
Yes, which I was very excited. Which is coming back. Did you see Paris Hilton like had the Razor? You remember the Razor phone?
Of course,
they're bringing that back.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a smart
Novelty
flip phone now.
kind of.
Well, but we're in the perfect time of nostalgia.
Yeah,
and she's the perfect person
like
for
everything.
it.
Like all the '80s things are like back in.
It's like the early. It's like my stuff, where it's like the 2000s, 2010s now.
Don't you feel old?
I do. I don't like it. The 90s stuff I was cool with. I like that stuff.
But it's interesting too because this is she asked you to set the phone down so that she can,
which
teleport this, but why do you need a phone to go through?
Because you need a conduit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking when I saw this, I was like, it would make travel so much easier for you and Yulia. Like if Yulia went to visit her family and she just had a flip phone, that would make it so much easier. I mean, it'd be easier for everybody, but I'm just thinking of y'all specifically since you had a transcontinental relationship. So Max goes back to the substation and is very excited to tell Teresa about his date. And she's like, well, no, you're 13. No, wait, you're 14. Like you can't have a date, whatever. So it's either his parents chaperone the date or Justin does.
If I may,
yeah.
Just for a second, before that happens, Larry Tate sees Alex and is like encouraging her to
be part of the
club, to do good things, and we'll get to this, but from the art teacher episode. That actress who the teacher turns into,
which was like just an episode or two ago.
Yeah,
I mean, that was
the one who's very bubbly and too much energy or whatever.
that was literally 2 episodes before this.
And
it was Future Harper, and then it was art teacher.
Right, and she is in the club where they do good deeds and stuff.
Did we ever say her name in the episode though?
I don't know.
Because remember we had Nellie in the first season.
The teacher name was Major Healy, right?
Yeah. But, her name was Jenny in that episode. But I don't know if we say it in Helping Hands. So we can assume it's just the same one if we don't say her name. Because remember, we had Nellie, who would just kind of be in the class. We would have some consistent reoccurring classmates. So I wonder if they were trying to do that with her. I don't know. Because, I do think it was weird that she was just in the class and we didn't talk about it. But it works with the Jenny, Miss Major Healy character because she was very squeaky and bubbly. And that's what the whole Helping Hands club is like. So Justin is going to chaperone Max's date. And then
Teresa's like, you have to take me out on a date or something.
To Jerry?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, can we I know we're jumping around all over the place, but the Happy Helpers Club is so ridiculous. It's a club of people wearing these like silly matching shirts. And they have these scrapbooks of ribbons that they get for like, I picked up litter.
Right.
I opened a door. I turned the light off. Like just silly stuff.
Because doing good, helping someone, doing something should be selfless. It should not be because you're trying to do this.
That's why I'm saying it's silly.
And it's interesting because I was in AA. I was in Alcoholics Anonymous for a little while, or 23 years. And
that's a little while.
What was interesting was, everybody, I'm sure people know this, that when you go to one of those meetings, you don't say your last name. You know what I mean? So you're anonymous in that. Sure. But in the beginning, it wasn't so much about being anonymous that you don't say your last name, but you're anonymous with your help, because alcoholics tend to have a huge ego. So not to feed your ego, it was supposed to be, it's not like, hey, I'm helping you. Everybody see I'm helping. Yeah. It's help to be selfless and not to anonymously, to not to get the credit.
I was I mean, I think you and I have talked about this, but like I was raised Southern Baptist, and that was something that about, and I still love Jesus. I still consider myself a Christian, but that was something that I really struggle with a lot of people that gravitate towards organized religion is the showmanship of benevolence. Being like, look, I did this thing, but I'm going to post about it and I'm going to tell everybody and like brag about it and all that kind of stuff. And to me, I'm like, the moment you do that, it's null and void. Like it's canceled. Like it doesn't, if you do something altruistic for your own validation or your own benefit or your own image, then it's for you.
I totally agree with you. Now, yet the good deed is still being done. Right. Yeah. So like one day, Yulia and I went and got a bunch of sandwiches and water and drove around town and passed them out. So do we tell people that we did that? Do we not tell people that we did that? You know what I'm saying, though? You know what I mean? Like I guess it's also in how you do it, or if somebody asks you.
Well, to me, I like if someone goes, "Hey, what'd you do yesterday?" Saying what you did like doesn't null and void. I think it's to me, I'm a big believer. Everything's about intention. It's the intention you do things with. Are you looking or thinking about the other person you're doing it for? Yeah. Or are you looking and thinking about yourself? And I think that's a big thing. Like I said, a modern thing I really have a hard time with is posting about it. Unless the only time it makes sense to me is like
lives, right?
No, but like you don't have to post every single aspect of your life. And to me, it's like the only merit in posting a good deed being done is to get other people to do the same thing, or to create awareness towards like a charity or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That to me is the only reason it makes sense. Otherwise, it's just look what I did. Look at what I'm offering people and how nice I am, and I have a really hard time with that. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're in the Happy Helpers club, and
the Keebler Elves tree.
I think it's Ben's son. Is sitting next to you. Ben, who was the writer.
Yeah. Whose daughter was in the Quinceañera episode.
Yes. But you're there. You're not in the club yet. You're sitting outside of the principal's office, and they're like creeping out on you. You're feeling uncomfortable from them, right?
Yeah, we're falling apart here.
Party foul. Our microphone is falling apart. We need a bigger budget on the show to have microphones that work. I'm kidding. But that's what the gag was, right? Yeah. They were kind of scaring you.
Yes.
Right?
Well, because they were there for like detention or something because they got in trouble. Because I think I say something to Alex about how like, oh, well, I'll wait in the office for you until you get there or something. And she's waiting with these two like hooligans, which is
and she just dismisses them. You're scared of them. She's like, get out.
She's like, whatever. Well, because she's the leader of the hooligans, right. Alex. So then she starts to talk about how like what we were just saying about how they're doing things for these ribbons, not to actually do good things.
And it's interesting because Harper is a part of the Happy Helper Club because
but this
Alex
is so Harper coded.
But that's you being a helper. That's you being good to your friend.
Yeah.
But
that's not what she gets ribbons for. She starts doing
I don't mean the ribbons.
But I see like I see what you're saying.
Harper's a very good friend.
She is, but she does get a little too into it. She gets a little too into it because she's very excited about all of her ribbons. She just gets very gluttonous for these ribbons. And then there's that moment I love because I always love when Harper talks back about her family, where
you are sitting on the couch and you're getting a ribbon. Is it for something?
For something.
And you're like, thanks, Mom. What is the line?
Yeah, like, so at least somebody's proud of me, Mom, or something like that.
It's so funny. It's like you wake up from a dream. You know what I mean? Like you're
I always thought of Harper as like, bear with me. There's this place, this like little cute small town. It's not cute anymore. It's like abandoned now. Only like a few people live there. Where they have like an underground burn that's like still going. It's a very weird metaphor.
What's a burn?
So I guess there's
like a tunnel.
I'm gonna butcher this, but no, like underground. There's all this like coal and like flammable materials. So it's been burning underground for years. Okay. And if you know like video games and stuff, like Silent Hill is like inspired by this and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so that's why I think of Harper as this cute little town on top with just like fire and flames and shit underneath that just keeps going on forever.
I like that.
So we are on Max's date at the sub shop because where else would you have it? I mean, I guess if you have a sandwich shop. If you weren't married to Yulia, would you have taken her to a date at the Bigfoot Cafe?
I don't know.
Or do you think that's...
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe down the line.
Yeah. Would I have taken her to a date at the cafe?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no place else to really go in Pine Mountain. So, yeah. But now before.
In general.
Before we go back to the substation, Alex is with Joanne Worley, the hippie woman again. And she is in need of help.
Yes.
And it's interesting because Alex is helping her. And then also she's helping Alex see that she's doing a good deed by helping her.
But that's what it should be. That's what it should be. And I think that's what's nice about this episode. It's kind of a subtle thing of like, look, we're helping each other because we need each other.
Yes.
Not performative, in a performative fashion.
Exactly.
You know? So yes, we're back at the substation. Justin is chaperoning Max's date. And of course, it would go just as how you would expect it would with an older brother chaperoning a date. Did you guys ever double date or chaperone a date?
No, there was no chaperoning, but my parents did leave Peter in charge when I was 17 years old. And
is this the boy
no, when he was 17 and I was 13 or something. Okay. And what he would do is he would wake you up, beat you with a pillow, and you'd go to turn on the light, and he had cut the power to the fuse box, and then he would look at you and go, run. And then he'd hunt you with a BB gun throughout the house.
This is how you got the BB gun in the light,
yeah,
right?
That was how he watched us,
Fantastic.
So
this was very much survival.
It was also different back in the day. Like, oh my God, I just remembered something. I snuck out one time to go see Jennifer, the one who cheated on me. And I snuck out. I had pre-put my bike there. I lived about 15 minutes from like the major part of the town in the Palisades, and I rode my bike, and I was like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. And then I met Jennifer at like the park who had snuck out. Yeah. And then, I don't know, we hung out a little bit, and I was like, exhausted or whatever. And then I rode my bike back and had to sneak back in. The last time I did that, I was like, this is no fun, Yeah. So... no, I was not chaperoned by my brothers. I was hunted and, sneaking out and having a private...
What is it called when you like hunt humans? It's like
the Hunger Games?
No, well, yes. It's like The Greatest Game or something. There's like a book or a movie about this.
Manhunt? No.
No, it's hold on. I'm going to look it up. It's going to be very riveting, guys.
When Max is on his date at the substation... Justin is very patient with him with how much of a butthead he's being.
Most dangerous game.
Yeah. That's when you're hunting a human.
It was a short story, I guess. I don't know. Short story. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Cool story, Jen. Cool story. Cool story, short story. But yes, he's being but Justin, I feel like was always really patient with all of the Russo, like with Max and Alex. For someone as together as Justin is, that's an incredibly hard position to be in. Yeah. They're that much of a mess.
Well, he's trying his best. And it's interesting because she says at one point about David, he's cute. And then... Max is like, what do you mean he's cute? What does that mean? Like he's cute or like he's handsome or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when David turns and decides not to be nice brother anymore.
Not cute.
He's mean. And then he also is like, there's like this, like he could be dating her. Like David could date her kind of thing. There was like a little flirty thing there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think it was like...
Which was awkward to me.
It was awkward. Because he was... 16, 17 at the time? She's like 14, 15, which at that time, you might as well be 20 years difference,
right.
Because so much changes every year.
It was just odd, but I guess a brothery kind of thing. Like I could have her if I wanted, I
don't like any of that. Oof. So she asked for Joanne Worley's help.
Right.
Or Maggie. And then it all works out that she doesn't have to be in the Happy Helpers Club.
Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Max is angry at Justin, so he sends a spell, and he's like, stop clowning around, and he hits it, and then it backfires on him, and he turns into like the clown makeup and everything.
It was good.
It was really good, and also I think in the new 4th season opener of the show, they used that little bit of, it's like, hey, we're putting a new, opening together. Let's utilize every, kind of sight gag thing, But I thought it was funny. And
was
then they
funny.
start playing with his nose and the honking. It was cute.
Yeah, it was very D channel.
But she doesn't seem to have a reaction to it. That he has
No.
gone behind her for 2 seconds and then
Morphed
come
into a
back
calm.
and has full makeup and everything done, you know.
That was the beautiful suspension of disbelief of we don't see the paint fight, we don't see the black hole in the middle of Tribeca Prep,
Right,
we
you
don't
just have
see the tiger in the middle of the dog
But
show.
then him being not a nice date, she leaves.
Well, yeah. If my date wasn't nice and then turned into a clown, or like his brother wasn't nice or whatever, I'd get the fuck out of there too.
Have you exited a date? I did this once. I met someone on a dating app.
Mm-hmm.
We had very good rapport, and then we went to a restaurant.
Yeah, you told me this.
Like a nice restaurant somewhere, and it was like a whole thing. Like we had parking and the valet, and then this. She was so rude to the server that I was like, I couldn't.
Did you get up and leave in the middle?
Yeah, I said to him, I said, I'm very sorry, and I said, it's time for us to go. This is not happening.
For you.
She thought I was joking, and then I was like, yeah, I'm not.
Like I think your behavior's a joke.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not interested when you're not nice like that.
How is she mean to the waiters?
Correcting him. I mean, this specific thing. I don't know. It
You just
was
remember she was rude.
Yeah, but to the point where I could understand a little like misunderstanding, or I want no croutons or whatever. But she just was condescending.
Meg Ryan and right into something else.
What is Meg Ryan?
Meg Ryan and
Sleepless in Seattle.
No, in Harry Met Sally. Remember when she orders, it's like very specific of what she wants.
But she's not rude.
She's not rude.
She's just
That's
being
what I'm
a
saying.
pain
She
in the
went
ass.
past Meg Ryan into Karen.
And happy fun fact, Rob Reiner directed that.
Yeah.
And
he's in the tag for art teacher.
Yes,
Future Harper.
Meg Ryan, Billy Crystal in that movie is saying, I know if a woman is faking an orgasm or not. And then she's like, oh, really?
Mom.
And then she does the whole, orgasm fake in the restaurant. And then Estelle Reiner, Carl's wife and Rob's mother said, I'll have what she's having.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the comedy dynasty that's like your family and like the Brookses and things like that, where it's like it was so ingrained in the entire family of like having a bit, having a moment, having a gag. And I love that.
I do too.
Like what a great like family common ground of laughing and comedy.
And not a lot of people know that. Not a lot of people, well, maybe they do now, but that
I
was
knew that trivia fact.
That was his mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's pretty well known.
I'm gonna do a rewatch. I love that. Billy Crystal is so funny.
It's my New Year's Eve movie. I watch it on Harry Met Sally every New Year's Eve.
And then what's the other? There's another one where Meg Ryan and
Tom Hanks.
Oh, it's Tom Hanks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, I made a mistake. But like they own bookstores, or there's like a bookstore. No, there's You Got Mail, and then there's another one that they did where he's like the Barnes and Noble big bookstore.
That's You Got Mail, right? Because there's two of them. There's Sleepless in Seattle, right? That's the two of them. Hold on. Stand by.
We're looking it up, everybody.
Stand by. And then we'll get back to the episode, we promise. We are really going on an aside.
We're back to the Happy Helpers Club, and where Joanne Worley has told Alex that she has to stand up to the man, as she puts it.
She's our 60s hippie queen of Waverly Place.
Which is like a saying that telling the people in the Happy Helpers Club that doing a good deed is not just to get a ribbon, is not to get something. So she's standing up to him, which is really funny because she does her speech. Yeah. She's like, you got to be good just to be good. You shouldn't do it for the ribbon. And then Bill says, do you want the ribbon? And she's like, no. And he says, well, you're going to get suspended. And she said, that's a very nice ribbon. Thank you very much.
Well, and then we have the great tag too with Bill. And like, I love that Bill was like so gung-ho to be in whatever costumes, whether it was the Western stuff, but he's in like full hippie garb, full 60s Woodstock, like Haight-Ashbury, like long wig, bell bottoms, and because he's trying to fit in with Maggie and Alex and how cool they are and stuff, and she still's like, but you're still the man. It doesn't matter, like
Right? She's like, you're the man, but
yeah,
he's dressed like that because he wants to fit in with Joanne Worley. Is that what it is? Or
that wasn't super clear. I mean, why was Max a clown? Like, what are? Sometimes we just did a sight gag for a sight gag.
Yeah, I didn't figure that out exactly why, but I'm sure Bill loved being in a scene with Joanne Worley.
Sure. Who wouldn't? Okay, so You Got Mail is the one with the bookstores. Sleepless in Seattle is the radio show.
Okay.
With like the widower's son and everything.
Thank you.
No, I needed to clear that up for myself too, because for a second I was like, wait, which one's which? Yeah. Were you in any clubs in school?
I was in play production. I was in
that tracks.
And I always thought like there was we did plays and the Shakespeare festivals and other like festivals where you take. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where you take like Shakespeare and you break it down to like a 5-minute scene, and then you go and do competitions, and then we did Noises Off for one, which was not Shakespeare, just regular comedy festival. And I always thought, this is amateur, this is high school, this is that. You know what I mean? The plays that were put on that we did, and I mean, I'm not a singer, and so I didn't do the musical, but there was I think there was something called Approaching Simone that I did, or I'm not exactly sure. But later on in life, when I went to do like real productions and stuff, I was like, oh my God, they were so much more professional in high school. Like the dedication to everything was.
But did you go to a performing arts high school or no?
No, Pacific Palisades High School.
Oh, okay.
But they had a good play production.
Yeah.
And 3 years prior to me going there, my brother Peter was in school with J.J. Abrams.
Oh, cool.
And they all did, they did Oliver. Peter was Bill Sykes, and J.J. Abrams was Fagin.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so I did that. And I know you've done a bunch of theater and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that was how I
younger,
started.
right?
I did a lot of like community theater. I wasn't in school because like my school, I mean, in Texas, you're either a cheerleader or a football player, and then everything else is like whatever.
But clubs, did you do clubs?
I did, because by the time that they would have had clubs, I was already coming out to LA. So I was homeschooled at that point. But I did a lot of community theater. I did this. We had this really cute like theater touring company with actually a lot of people went on to do some really great things. There's a guy that like went to New York for opera. There's the Pentatonics, the a cappella singing group were in there too, and but we would go to like different festivals or like different things or like old folks' homes and would sing just like a musical review. So like we just sing different songs from different musicals and I'll never forget though, my friend Kirsty, there's a great story where she, we would have these intros and we were young. I mean, we were maybe like 8, 7, something like that. And so they put the cute kids out front, right, to introduce us. And we went to an old folks home and she goes, and we were called SRO, standing room only. That was what we were called. And we had little matching outfits and stuff. But she goes, I hope you enjoy your stay at like Shady Pines. And her mom just went, oh my God. Because normally we would stay like at a hotel or like whatever. But yeah, enjoying your stay at like the Shady Pines retirement home.
Hopefully it's longer than shorter.
Hopefully it makes it to the end of the show. But yeah, that was probably like, and then I think I did like art clubs and stuff like that.
It's good that you did that. My mom was at the actors' home, and they people would come in and do singing or a little performance. It makes a big deal because it's so fucking boring in those places.
Yeah. It breaks the monotony for sure. It like gives you something to look forward to or do. But we were just excited to perform anywhere we could. But I want my ribbon. Where's my ribbon for now?
Here's your hat. Here's your Bigfoot Cafe
hat.
That
is covered in sweat at this point. I know.
Did you want one of these hats? You can go to thebigfootcafe.com, everybody.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Bye.